Right, perfect. Just took, yeah, I see that Teams is very slow today. Okay. So, in terms of today, we're looking at personality psychology, but it's super interesting and also not that complicated, which is nice. At least you can score marks in sections like these. So, basic learning, like outcomes and things that we are looking to explain here, is the 5 factor model of personality, which we will do first. So that is things like agreeableness and conscientiousness, but I'll get into that. We're also looking at different personality types. So are you type A or type B? Type A meaning, are you someone who is really driven, really particular, really organized? Type B, you're a little bit more relaxed. So we do all of those personality theories. And then we also do Freudian theory, which is pretty interesting in my opinion. And I have lots of stories to tell with that one to make it a bit easier for you to remember. All right, so let's start off by providing a definition of personality. If I just said the word personality to you, what would you think it means, Alka? Like, what does it mean to you?
Like the type of person you are, like your characteristics.
Okay, so maybe it could be the kinds of foods that you like.
Yeah, like are you a kind person? Are you an angry person? Are you loud? Are you soft? Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? That sort of thing.
Exactly, that's what I was looking for. So it's more of your temperaments, and it does also include some of your characteristics. Okay, but let's hop into what psychology says this means. It's how we uniquely think and how we feel. Okay, so also how we behave, how we talk to others, and our temperaments generally should stay persistent and consistent throughout our lives. So if, like for example, I was born a colic baby, I still have the same temperament now. I'm still very loud. I still scream if I need to
Same.
scream. So, we get that. Okay. So when we say that it is persistent slash consistent over the period of your entire life, regardless of where you are at in your life, your personality and your personality traits are generally going to stay the same. Okay, so like you said earlier, when we describe someone, we can say, oh, she's a very generous person, she's caring, she's kind, she's nice, she's a perfectionist, she likes things done a certain way. Um, these are all traits of a person. So, regardless of what you are going through in life, sure, your temperament may change now and then, but you generally remain quite similar throughout your life. Okay? The word personality itself comes from persona, which is the Latin word, and it was initially used to refer to people in the theater. So if they were using masks and if they were acting and they were being somewhat different, that's where persona or personality then came from. Okay, so just a little bit of history for you. Okay, so actual traits or characteristics in terms of who we are, it is consistent. Okay, if something is consistent, it means that it can be done time and time and time again, but there is a regularity to this. Okay, there is an order that is recognizable and a regularity to a person's behaviors. So, personality itself can also be psychological and physiological. Okay, so it's psychological because it is who we are in terms of our traits and characteristics, but it's very important not to forget that it can also be biological in nature. So, to give you an example, my personality type is very similar to that of my mom's. My brother's is very similar to that of my dad's. Have you also noticed that? You'll have like similar traits and characteristics with your parents. Or even if it's not your parents, could also be your grandparents that you have similar traits with. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I have similar, like a little bit of both. Like
Yeah,
certain things that I do like my mom, and certain things I do like my dad.
exactly. So that's pretty much just highlighting that, okay, let's not forget that there's some genetics involved in this as well. We aren't just Born the way we're born, we must share some similarities with our parents. Okay. Personality also affects behaviors and actions. Who we are is going to determine how we interact. So, for instance, there's me in traffic. Okay. If I'm stuck in traffic, oh, the whole world has to hear about it. Okay. If you're on the road and you cut me off without indicating, I'm gonna scream at you. Okay? Definitely affects my behaviors and actions. But you'll get some people on the road who are just like so chilled vibes. No matter what happens to them, whatever they do, they're just like coasting along because they have a calmer temperament and that affects how they behave in the environment that they're in. So our personality affects our behaviors and actions in the environment that we find ourselves in. Okay. You good so far, Alka? Thumbs up. All right. And then lastly, multiple expressions. It is displayed in more than just your behavior. It's also how we feel, how we think. All of these traits come out in these ways. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a starter course into what personality is. And I tell you all of this first because we're now going to get into different types of personality. So I don't know if you've seen like on Google, they'll have, or even on Facebook and Instagram, they have like these personality quizzes. I know when we were younger, we had magazines where we would circle them, and it would be like
Yeah,
the
I
most interesting thing ever to
yeah.
actually do
No,
a
I did
personality
those.
quiz. And yeah, I still do
I
sometimes. If I
did
come across one, I'll do it.
no, I did one. I think it was a legit one though.
Mm,
16 personalities.
okay.
Yeah.
So that
Um,
whole NMKV,
yeah,
I know which one you're talking
yeah.
about. Yeah.
It
It
so
is actually a
I
psychological
in
test.
I was INFJ
Oh,
slash
I'm the
T.
same. I'm the same. I'm the same.
And it says advocate, which is funny considering what I'm studying.
And a lecturer, there you go.
Okay.
Makes sense,
Yeah,
right? But yes, yeah, it's exactly the same personality type. That's actually a psychological test that we do. That amongst other things.
yeah.
When like you're going into a career
Oh yeah,
and you
you
want
gotta
to
do
do
those like aptitude tests and
yeah,
stuff.
aptitude and psychometric testing, yeah, that's also a part of that battery of tests. So yeah, this is an interesting section because we can actually use it in real life to solve real issues and problems that we face.
Yeah.
If we figure out who we are, we know how to deal with our issues, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So that's why I like this section because it's very applicable like to our everyday lives. So now we're getting into that, right? Personality types.
Yeah.
There are actually four types. Type A, B, C, or D. Okay? A lot of the time we mostly work with types A and types B, but there are four types that we generally talk about. And there's a theory called the Myers-Briggs test or Myers-Briggs personality or temperament indicator that we also use, but I'll get to that in a second. Let's just start with the four types. So type A is that very, very, very focused, determined individual. This person needs everything to be in proper order. They are very achievement orientated. So they will set a goal and they will want to achieve it in specific time. But they will want to do things a lot quicker than the human condition allows for. So that's like me. I want everything done quickly. But sometimes in life, things need to be done in steps and stages. And my type A personality does not get that. Okay. Work obsessed, like when do I stop? Okay. So it makes perfect sense. Type B, complete opposite of type A. They are very relaxed individuals. They quite calm, they don't get upset easily, but they are more on the creative side as opposed to like the book smart side. They're also very patient, and because they're so relaxed, it unfortunately results in a tendency to procrastinate a little bit. Okay, so that's type B. Type C, also a perfectionist, but they are sort of like the stoic perfectionist. They'll be a lot more on the quieter side and they don't really like expressing and speaking about their emotions. So that's what makes them a bit different from type A. Then type B is, I always say, type D is type D for depressed. Okay, you're always worried, you're always irritable, annoyed, negative. These are the people that need to go and do some cognitive based therapy and make some friends and try some new things, because they're always fearful of doing anything new in case they're going to be rejected, or even making new friends, for example, because they're too afraid to get out there. Okay. Yes, Alka.
I don't know why I raised my hand.
Oh, yeah, you can just talk.
I, can we be a mixture of more than one type?
See, that's the thing that I don't
Because
like
I feel like,
about boxing, like into these
yeah,
types, because you
I feel
can
like
be.
I'm a little bit type B, but I'm also a little bit type D, but I'm also a little bit type A.
Okay, so how we tend to measure here is that whichever one you have the most of and
Oh,
most
I see.
recognize with
Yeah.
is what we would generally say you are. Which is not to say that you can't have a few traits from here, from here, there, and everywhere. But if you have mostly type A traits, then we generally say you're type A personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense. Yeah.
there's always room for you to grow and be dynamic. And that's kind of one of the criticisms that I have of personality theory. Whilst it's so great in recognizing who we are and we can then pinpoint our issues and work with them effectively, it also tends to be very static and keep us sort of caged in that one sort of group. When actually over time our environment might change and certain things about us might change in tandem with that change in environment, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
Because I don't feel like the same person that I was when I was 20 is the same person that I am when I'm 30, or the same person I'm going to be when I'm 40 or 50.
Yeah.
Uh, sure, certain things will stay consistent throughout my life, but as time goes by, you become older and wiser, as they say, and you learn a lot of new things along the way. And a lot of old people, they say, oh, when I was young, I used to be so this, that, and everything. I'm sure you've heard it in your family. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've heard it. And then they say, no, but now that I'm this old, I'm just relaxing because life is so
Yeah.
short. And like, I feel like, geez, I'm getting to that stage of my life too. But
You sound
like,
like every single Indian auntie I've ever met.
every single Indian auntie. But I get it, because over time, you just start seeing the world differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of a downside of this, which is why it's not so nice to box ourselves in
Mm.
in that way. So if we do Myers-Briggs personality indicators, I'll actually I'll send a link on your announcements to do the test. You can actually do the test. There's a couple of them, but this puts us on different like continuums. So are you extroverted, which means are you out there? Do you talk to people, or are you introverted? Do you really like get in touch with your feelings? So are you thinking, feeling, or are you one of those people that's like extremely judgy? Like anything that you see that's like not in alignment with what you like, you'll be like, oh yeah, you're so this and you're so that, and like you're very judgy. Okay, so these are on continuums. So this is nice because, do you remember autism spectrum? I don't know if we did that last semester, but how autism spectrum.
No, we didn't do it last semester, but I've seen it before, like
Yeah, I
in
think we
life.
do it later in the semester. But like autism is on a spectrum because it presents differently for everyone. And I like Myers-Briggs because it allows us to not just be one thing. We can be several things
Yeah,
because
I
it's
get it.
on a continuum, which is nice. Not perfect, but certainly more inclusive of the
Yes.
changing person or changing personalities that we could have as time goes by. But yeah, I must remember to that when I'm done with
Um,
this, I must put up a Myers-Briggs test for you guys. Yes,
so
Alka?
these four types of personality, it says one theory suggests, do we need to know whose theory this is? Like, is it someone like, was it Erickson? No, it wasn't Erickson. But I mean,
So
was it someone important that we need to know?
they haven't tested this in a couple of years, if I'm being
Ah,
completely
okay.
honest. Um, But this is just sort of like to start you off, to know the different
Ah,
types of
okay.
personalities. Just know the basics, but they haven't tested it in a while.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
The five factor model they will test though. I'm getting
Yeah.
into that now. All right. So the five factor model, okay, starts off with agreeableness, conscientiousness, eager to please, extroversion, introversion, neuroticism, and openness. Okay, I know it's more than five, but some of them go together. Okay, I prefer to break it down like this so it makes better sense. Okay, so let's start off with the first one. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
Okay, it went away. It went away before I even got there. Okay, so there is a actual model that I have put on my lecture notes. As soon as I'm done with this, I'll unhide the lecture notes. Then you can see it. But you will see that agreeableness is the first one. Okay. If you're an agreeable person, it means that you can empathize. I think for me, that's the main point. Agreeable, meaning that you are open to discussion. You're not one of those people who's like a dictator and you're like, oh no, it's my way or no way. You're agreeable. You want to know how other people feel and you want to help others. The second thing that we look at is conscientiousness. Okay. Conscientiousness and eagerness to please go together. Okay. You're thoughtful, you're very good with your impulse control. You don't just break like barriers and like be nasty to people. You think about how what you do can affect others. Also very similar to empathy. Okay. In terms of eager to please, you're very, very accommodating and conforming to others. Okay. I'm not going too much out of the norm. I'm sticking to what others have done. Okay. Next up, the third one is extroversion. If I'm an extroverted person, I'm very friendly. I'll go out there, I will talk to you, I will make friends with you, I will be assertive, and I'm extremely expressive. So if I'm excited about something, I will start talking with my hands, my voice will be even more high pitched than it already is. That's extroversion. Okay, so we've done the first three so far: agreeableness, conscientiousness, and extroversion. Do you understand those three?
Yep.
Okay, great. It's not too difficult, but this they do test. Okay. Then we have neuroticism. Okay. Introversion is just a trait that goes with, well, it's the difference between extroversion and introversion, a trait being quiet and reserved. Neuroticism is the fourth factor. Okay. Have you ever met a neurotic person? It's almost like the marbles have fallen out their brain and they cannot get their shit together, to put it plainly, right?
Yeah.
You know how we say that anxiety is the irrational fear of the future? Neuroticism is anxiety playing out in reality. You cannot control how you feel. It just, your feelings take over how
Mhm.
you feel for that day. So you can literally have one thing go wrong in that day and it could mess up. I'm not even going to say your whole day. It could mess up your whole week. Your whole week can be haywire. Any plans that you made will just be out of control because you can't control your mood. Your mood
Yeah.
controls you. That's neuroticism. And the last one, or the fifth one, is openness. Okay. You want to try new things. You're not really afraid about rejection because you know that you can tackle something head on and hopefully be successful at it. Okay. So here's the actual model. You can see some of the traits that I mentioned are also sitting in this model.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how is this measured? You can either have a very high level or a low level of neuroticism. Can you see that? So, a high
Yes.
level means you're depressive. You are emotionally labile, which means you are extremely emotional. and you are very shameful. You hide away from things, you don't want to speak to people. If you have low neuroticism, you have fearlessness and shamelessness. You're willing to live life to the fullest. If you are highly extroverted, you seek excitement and attention. But if you are lowly extroverted, you don't want to talk to people and you're withdrawn, and it might come across as like this sort of like coldness or detachment from people. So
Mm,
can you see? This is how we measure personality traits.
I see.
High to low. Please remember this and learn this. This is something that you're
Okay.
going to need. Okay? So, openness, when I say magical thinking, I don't mean that you think like about supernatural and Sam and Dean and whatever. By magical thinking, I just mean that you are open to the possibility of new things. You are quite creative and you think that there might be a bit more to the norm. Eccentricity, you're okay with being different from everyone else. You don't have to follow the rules. If you're low on your openness scale, you are close minded and inflexible. There's no creativity there. Then you have agreeableness. Okay, remember, you care about other people. But there's a downside to high agreeableness. If you care too much about others and empathize with them too much, what can happen? Gullibility.
Mm,
Okay, you can't see the bad in people, you only see the good. Okay,
yeah.
then we have low agreeableness. If you don't care about others, you're obviously manipulative, callous, and deceitful. And lastly, conscientiousness. Okay, high conscientiousness, you're a perfectionist, you're very type A in your personality, you're a workaholic. But if you have low conscientiousness, you don't care about your work, you do things very rashly, you don't complete your tasks because you are so easily distracted. All right, are we good?
Yep.
So, NEOAC. Just remember it as an acronym when you're studying for the exam. It'll make your life a bit easier. I remember
Trying to
doing
make a
that.
word. Trying to make a word from this.
Yeah, and you can make a word.
A C O A
C A
cone.
canoe.
AC1.
Uh,
Canoe.
yeah, canoe.
Canoe.
Canoe. There you
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
Canoe. Oh, where are we now? All right. Do we understand? All good.
Hmm.
Okay, perfect. Where am I now? Right. So, the person who came up with this five-factor model, his name was known as, well, he was Lewis Goldberg, and it was basically called the Big Five because there were five personality traits. So
Yeah.
they sometimes call it the five-factor model of personality, or they call it the Big Five. Um, so it's I quite like it because it accounts for a lot of different types of people, especially on the very low and the very high scale, because you can be
Yeah.
high somewhere but low somewhere else and low somewhere but high somewhere else. It's nice because it accounts for different types of people. This is probably the most famous personality theory that we have explored, psychologically speaking. Right. Okay, now we get to the interesting part. Okay, psychodynamic perspective. Do you remember psychodynamic perspective? Who's psychodynamic perspective by?
Grotius.
Freud.
No? Oh, I was just taking a guess. It was the first name that came in my head.
Psychodynamic perspective is Sigmund Freud's perspective. And I know I taught you this last semester.
Yeah, you
Do you
did. I just
remember
forgot.
do you remember anything about Freud at all? Now that you know it's Freud, do you remember anything about him?
Freud is the father of psychology.
Yes, you are not wrong. Nothing else.
And you tell me.
I'm going to. I wasn't giving you a chance.
I can't remember anything.
All right. So Sigmund Freud believed in free association, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
So
say.
so talk therapy. So the very basic CBT and solutions based therapies, those are all based on Freudian concepts. And Freud believed that we had these unconscious thoughts that were buried deep within our conscience, or our unconscious, as he called it. And that in this part of our brain, all of our traumas and our bad dreams and all of that lie there. But when we talk about it, it comes to the surface. Okay, so that was Freud in a nutshell. Okay,
Yeah.
now there are several stages of Freud, and he called them psychosexual development. And I'm now going to relate that to personality, and it's actually very, very interesting. So, let me tell you a funny story first. Okay, so okay, so Freud studies something called the Oedipus complex and the Electra complex. But I'll explain that just now, but I'll tell you the story first. So, in Greek mythology, I think it was, yeah, it was there was this guy named Oedipus, okay, or Oedipus. Some people call it, yeah, but it's Oedipus.
Yeah.
And when he was born, he had this philosophy spoken over him, or this prophecy spoken over him. And they said, when this baby was born, he was like, prophet was like, you know what? This is a very different baby. This baby is going to kill his father and marry his mother. Right? Kill his father and marry his mother. So now the parents were obviously very stunned by this. And back in ancient Greece,
No shit.
if a philosophy was said, right,
Yeah.
it was like set in stone, and it was
Yeah.
definitely made to be true. And now they didn't have like religion and things like how we would do now. It's not the same. So if a prophecy was given, you must stick to it.
Yeah.
And now this was a very bad prophecy. Imagine, kill your father, marry your
And
mother.
marry your mother.
So they were like, you know what, let's just get rid of this baby. If we get rid of him, this prophecy won't come true, and I'll be safe and you'll be safe. This is the husband and wife now. Okay.
Yeah.
So they take him, they drop him in the woods, and they leave him there in the woods. They thought, no, the elements will kill him. So they just
Yeah.
left him. Little do they know that this man, good Samaritan or wada wada, walking across the woods, finds him, picks him up, adopts him. Okay. As he got older, I don't know how they found out about this, but someone told Oedipus the same thing. They said, you're going to kill your father and marry your mother. Now he thought that it was the people that adopted him. So he
Yeah.
ran away. So he ran away. Okay. Runs away from home, meets this creepy man on the street. And this man is trying to rob him, or something goes wrong, and he kills this man.
Oh my god.
Then
Oh my god.
the man's wife, beautiful lady that she was,
Oh
Oedipus
my
said, hey,
god.
I made this man, I made this auntie a widow now. I must marry her.
And it was his father and mother.
And it was his father and mother,
Oh
and
my
the
god.
prophecy was fulfilled. Right. So that is Freud's Oedipus complex, but I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, just a fun
Gross.
story. But just a fun story for you. So that's why we say
And
that, like, no matter
and a
what you can do,
gross story.
you can't escape fate.
Yeah.
You cannot escape fate. So that was the whole in inverted commas lesson that came out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sigmund Freud recognized that yes, we do have different personalities, but he says that a lot of these personalities are basically brewing outside of our conscious awareness. So I don't know if you remember, if I showed you guys the iceberg last semester, where the bottom of
Yes.
the iceberg was all of those unconscious thoughts, but the top of it was what we actually see, what we actually hear and dream of. Those are the things we are conscious of. But underneath that is all of these unconscious thoughts. So he spoke about the id, ego, and the superego, where your id is like this very aggressive part of you. Your ego is that mediator, it's sort of like the judge. It's sort of like telling you, maybe no, you shouldn't do this. And then your superego is like this moral fiber that you have, where you know something is wrong and you shouldn't do it. So the ego then balances your sexual and aggressive drives. Okay. So Freud also says that as children are getting older and growing and developing, their personality develops through psychosexual stages. Each one is tied to an erogenous zone. When I say erogenous zone, I mean a part of the body, literally, but I'll get to that as I teach this to you. So, erogenous zone meaning a specific part of the body. Okay. So, anyway,
I know this from friends.
from
From friends.
oh Lord, yeah, we are millennials after all. But
Yeah.
yes. So, basically, if you don't meet each stage, then you're going to have a different set of problems in your older life. Okay. So, the first stage that we look at is the oral stage. Okay. So, oral meaning mouth. Okay. Pretty self explanatory. Okay. So, at this time, a baby is breastfeeding and all of that. If they're not breastfeeding, they're bottle feeding, but the mouth is pretty much being used constantly. Okay. That's how they get their food. But if they don't have enough booby milk, etc., this is literally what Freud said, it's not me. Then that means that they could become an adult that smokes, drinks, overeats, bites their nails, and they have like fixations with the mouth. Okay, so I'm not saying that he's wrong. I
I
mean,
get it.
but yes, but that is what Freud says. Then we move to the anal stage. This is the potty training stage, and obviously it's the butt. All right, it means the bum. At this stage, you're trying to control your bladder movements. You know how there's always that one person in the family or someone that you know that is still pooping their pants when they're like 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
people, those people have not met the anal stage. Okay. If a parent is extremely harsh, doesn't help their child when they're potty training, then we say that you have an anal retentive personality. You're a very stingy person, you're very stubborn, you can be extremely neat and a perfectionist. But if your parent is very lenient, then you could just poop and pee everywhere, to put it plainly. You're messy, you're careless, you're disorganized. Okay, so this is what
So,
Freud said about how your personality develops through these stages. Yes, Alka?
so if somebody has this type of personality, can you call them an asshole?
I've never heard that one before, but I'm gonna share that one in the rest of my
I,
classes.
I mean,
But,
I
but,
don't think it's an insult to self-spirit. I'm
but
just calling your personality out.
I would just be like, hey, you a-hole, and then imagine. You'd be like, no, I'm not insulting you, it's just Freud.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the
Okay.
anal
I'm
stage.
gonna use that. I'm gonna use it.
Oh, me too, me too. Thanks for that. Okay, so then we have the phallic stage. The phallic stage is from 3 to 6 years of age, and it's when children become of like more aware of their private areas. So men and women, penis and vagina, they become very aware of these things, and this is their erogenous zone. So this is the Oedipus complex and the Electra complex, right? So let's say that a child. You ever notice how little girls are like so overprotective of their dads?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is actually called the Electra complex, where the girl actually wants to marry her father and has sexual attraction
Okay.
to her father. Oedipus, the opposite way. A boy is in love with his mother. That's why Freud calls it the Oedipus complex, because Oedipus married his mother.
Hectic.
Right. You can't get over that one. It's too hectic for
I'm
you.
just very,
Okay. Then
very.
Carl Jung, who was a student of Sigmund Freud, said that girls are angry with the mother for not providing them with a penis, hence the term penis envy. Okay. I know this sounds so ridiculous, but it's so funny that like a lot of Freudian theory is quite relatable to real life.
I
As much as
just
we can
don't get
laugh,
it. I
as
mean, I
much as
get
we
it,
can
but I
laugh.
just don't get it.
Oh, like when it comes to psychology, we see these things. We actually see
Yeah.
these things play out, and it's amazing how you like can actually pinpoint. Oh, that's very Freudian in nature. So
Yeah, get it.
it's definitely something we can consider for sure. All right, then we have the latency period. It's from 6 years to around 12 or 13, so puberty. It's where your sexual feelings are very like dormant. Um, I wish this would apply to this day and age, but it's not. I feel like children are having sex at even earlier ages nowadays. Um,
True.
but yeah, this is sort of where puberty happens. All right. And then lastly, we have the genital stage. It's from puberty all the way up until adulthood. And this is what Freud calls like the sexual reawakening, the maturity, and like you start to desire people of the opposite sex at this age. If this desirability is successfully done and all the other stages are completed properly before we get to the stage, then you're a healthy, normal adult. If you do not, it could mean things like you having an obsession with sexuality and sex, with pedophilia, with sexual deviancy, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that is basically what Freud says about that.
So like this last stage is like lifelong, basically.
Lifelong, yes.
Okay.
From puberty for the rest of your life, but you must have met all those other stages properly first before you get to the stage to meet it properly and become a successful adult with no like fixations that are sexual in nature. You're just normal. Okay, in accordance with what Freud says.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit difficult to agree with everything that Freud says,
Yeah.
but I do think that there is some value and some application that we can take from that. All
Especially
right.
given the time.
Especially given the time, really. I think, even for me, like as a criminologist and studying and looking at like sexual offenders, um, you do see these things. When you go back and you actually look at like the history of the offender and you look at where they came from and like the sexual molestation that they suffered when they were younger, people don't just become offenders. I mean, people don't just aren't just born into it. It's not like an
Yeah.
immediate, thing. It's a lot of different factors that have led up to this. So, in my opinion, there's a lot of value in Freudian theory in that sense, in that, if you don't meet these stages, you could suffer with issues.
So I
Yeah.
watch a lot of Criminal Minds, and uh,
Okay.
you've seen the show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Of
So
course.
yeah, so sorry, when it comes to like when they're looking for the suspect or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and they always it more often than not they go back to this person's like childhood and things, and certain things in their childhood is why they are the way they are now.
You have to.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of these unsubs like yeah, I'm talking like them unsubs.
I
Like
understand.
they like this one was bounced around from foster home to foster home to foster home and stuff, and now he's a murderer.
Yeah. And if you actually think about these kids, like, children that are in full time care and in group homes and things like that, it's difficult for them to properly meet all of those stages. Because let's just say that there's like 100 people in that group home and there's only five caregivers. How are
Yeah.
they actually gonna, like, let's say, toilet train you properly? Also, you don't have a mom and a dad. So
Yeah.
you don't even have like that chance to go through this normal Electra and Oedipus complex, because it is quite normal. It
Yes.
is normal to go through these things, and you don't have those opportunities if you're a child that's in that position.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot that we need to consider. But yeah, I do see value in Freud. I
Yeah.
definitely don't think that it's something that is just out of thin air. I think there's some things that are quite valuable and make a lot of sense. Okay, do you understand Freud? Are you good?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So now we're going into behavioral perspectives. Do you remember classical and operant conditioning?
Yes, that I won't forget. You conditioned it into me.
Oh, very good. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay. So that's what we're looking at next, all right? This is, of course, known as behavioral theory. So Why is this important? Because behavior underlies personality and how personalities develop. So, the thing about behavioral personality development or personality theory is that it allows our experience to change and it allows us to look at subjectivity. And you will see how in a minute. Okay, so it looks at classical versus operant conditioning and how this affects the development of our personality. So, here's a little cheat sheet for you. If you are classically conditioned, the organism is passive. Okay, that means that somebody is acting on you. So, remember that story I told you about the sharks and going to the boat?
Yes.
The sharks are classically conditioned in terms of at around the same time every day when they have those cage dives, the minute they hear the boat and feel the vibrations in the water, they know that food is coming. They circle the boat even without the chum being in the water because they are passive,
Yeah.
right? Responses are reflexes. They literally just know. You don't have to tell them the time or put chum in the water, they know. Responses are elicited and reinforcement is unrelated to learning the association. But operant conditioning, remember that one, rewards
Yeah.
versus punishment, but negative reinforcement and punishment are not the same thing.
Yes.
Okay, organism is active in this case, responses are voluntary, and you are making your own decisions because your reinforcement is contingent on your response. Okay, does this make sense so far?
Yes.
So, for classical conditioning, a person associates whatever stimulus it is with a reaction, and then it becomes a conditioned response. So, this is Pavlov's experiment. That's like the best way to explain that. You remember the doggies ringing
Yeah.
the bell? All right. So, in addition to this, this just tells us that you're not in control of what is happening here because of the response that you are automatically giving because of the conditioning. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have Seligman. Okay. He focused a lot
He's
on,
new.
yeah. He focused a lot on positivistic theory and then started developing that into conditioning. So, for example, a person who has experienced sickness in the past, for let's say I have sushi and I start throwing up after my sushi, okay, and I now go to the same place and see the same sushi. Am I gonna want to eat it?
No.
Definitely not, because you actually start developing an aversion to it. And with this repeated unconditioned stimuli, it starts to become a behavior. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
It starts to become a behavior, and
I've seen this
you will
firsthand.
never eat that sushi again.
Yeah.
Like never. You will full stop not eat that sushi. Okay, because it becomes a conditioned response.
Yeah.
Automatic. Even if you do eat it again, I can guarantee that because you're conditioned, you'll feel sick.
Yeah. Like a placebo effect.
Yes, as much as it wasn't like rotten this time or whatever it was that was the issue last time,
Mm.
you'll still feel sick because you're conditioned.
It's in your head.
It's all in your head. Okay,
Yeah.
it's so can you see how that's more the physiological part of the personality development now?
Yes.
It's less psychological but more physiological. Okay. Do you understand so far?
Yep.
Are you sure? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. Now we move on to operant conditioning. This is where we say that your personality is shaped based on positive and negative consequences. So, either way, if you are being rewarded, are you going to do something?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is going to increase the behavior. You're going to want to repeat it over and over again because of the stimulus that's being constantly provided. But if you're punished, will you stop doing something?
Yes.
And will this affect your behavior and your personality development?
Yes.
Yes, 100%. Okay. If I'm constantly reinforcing even a punishment, if there's a reinforcement of a punishment, my behavior is going to change and could in turn affect my personality.
Is this the Skinner box?
This is the Skinner box, correct. Operant conditioning is the Skinner
Look at
box.
me. Look at me.
Aibo, you didn't remember Freud. Hi, Aibo. Freud, you never remember. You never remembered him. So
I
let's
remember
just
the
give
box.
you let's just give you a 7 out of 10. Like
Okay.
this time around. Okay. So in a nutshell, what a behavioral approach does is it's based on the fact that your behavior determines your personality, and that repeated behaviors over time could lend to the development of that personality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
Okay, perfect. All right. So remember what we did today?
no.
Highball. Let's
I'm
recap a bit.
joking. I'm
Okay, I
joking.
just
We
want to
did
recap first.
personality characteristics and
Uh-huh.
personality types,
Wait,
five-factor
personality
model,
characteristics, which were?
consistency,
No, no,
psychological.
no.
Wait,
Personality,
wait.
personality theory. Start there first. Type
Personality
A.
theory. Type A, focused and determined. Type B, relaxed and calm. Type
Mm-hmm.
C, shy and closeted. And type D for depressed.
I love how I teach these things and you remember them. Okay, what's the five-factor approach?
um, Canoe.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Conscientiousness,
Conscientiousness.
agreeable,
Mm-hmm.
neuroticism,
Mm-hmm.
openness, and extroversion.
Perfect. See, there you go.
Extroversion all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good one. All right. And then Mr. Freud, we spoke about the different stages, which were oral, anal,
Oral,
phallic,
anal, phallic, latency, and genital.
and genital. Correct. Then we spoke about behavioral perspectives and we covered classical and operant conditioning.
Pavlov and Skinner.
Pavlov and Skinner. Correct. But now we look at it in terms of how personality develops. Why? Because it changes a person's behavior based on stimuli and reinforcement. Yes,
Yes.
correct. All right, great. We've covered a fair amount. I've only got two more theories left, which I'll have to make YouTube videos for. And
That's
yeah,
fine. I forgive you.
I wish we had 2 hours, but ish.
I did put that actually last semester in the what you call it feedback survey thing,
Yeah.
and I know Michaela did it as well. I put it for every